Picture this for a second. A Zoom call, 12 people on the screen, 3 are talking, 4 have their cameras off, 1 keeps jumping in, someone is clearly checking his phone, and you're trying to steer the room without losing control of it. Now here's what most people don't realize. That 1 hour a week, if led poorly, it can quietly destroy your retention. Or if it's led well, it can keep members longer, increase engagement, stabilize your revenue, and make people actually want to show up. If you lead a mastermind, a cohort, a membership program, or any recurring group coaching model, and the weekly call is central to your value, this matters more than you think. I've seen great programs with strong content and serious people slowly start to crack, not because the content wasn't good, not because the leader lacked charisma, but because of small avoidable mistakes in how the call was run. That hour was loose, unclear, unstructured, nothing dramatic, just small friction every week, and over time, people quietly disengage. Running a group coaching call is not just about knowing your material, it's about leadership in real time. Over the past 6 years, I've led more than 600 group coaching calls and over 200 webinars. Before that, for 15 years, I've led and produced musical ensembles, building group dynamics and guiding teams to perform at a high level. Thousands of hours of leading group taught me something very simple. Structure and facilitation change everything. In this video, I'll show you 5 things that must happen in each group coaching call if you want it to become a growth engine instead of a quiet leak in your business. And at the end, I'll give you the 6th principle that makes the difference between a call people attend and a call they actually look forward to. Before we get into structure, let's define what this call actually is. A group coaching call is not a webinar, it's not a lecture, it's not an open Zoom hangout. In my world, it's the engine of any transformation-based process. There are many ways to run a group coaching call, but I'm talking about the model where the call is the heart of the transformation, not a side feature. This is where people gain clarity, work through real dilemmas, strengthen their professional identity, and commit to action in front of others. If you run a membership, a mastermind, or a hybrid program, the course is the knowledge, the community is the container, but the live call is where change actually happens. When the call is strong, retention goes up, commitment goes up, conversations between sessions get deeper. When the call is weak, the whole system starts to crack. This is not just another component in your business. This is the axis everything revolves around. And for that axis to work, there are 5 things that must happen every time. Now, before we get into number 1, I want to share a principle that changes everything, and that is having a structure for the call, especially when it's repeatable. The reason this works is because the brain is constantly trying to predict what's going to happen. When it can't, stress goes up, attention weakens, and people drop. This does not mean you need a rigid script, and it doesn't mean every call has to look identical, but you do need anchors, a clear opening, a middle that creates dialogue and movement, and a strong close that ties all of this together. Once you have those 3 anchors, you're already operating at a different level. Now let's get into the 5 things. The first thing that has to happen in every strong group call is how you open it. The first few minutes set the emotional tone for the entire hour, not just professionally, emotionally. Most people show up carrying stress, self-criticism, a list of things they didn't finish. If you open with "Who's stuck this week?" or "What problem are you dealing with?" you deepen the weight that's already there. I do the opposite. I start the call with wins. But when I say wins, I don't mean only big shiny outcomes. A win can be having a hard conversation you've been avoiding, posting something even though you were nervous, or trying something new that didn't work but taught you something. Because often someone will say, "I didn't really have one," but when you look closer, they took a very brave step, and you should acknowledge that. So I ask simple questions like, what worked for you this week? What are you proud of? What did you do even though it was uncomfortable, even a small step? As people start sharing wins, they get empowered, they regain agency, confidence go up, the energy shifts. After 3 or 4 people share their wins, I usually notice a common theme. And I pause and say, notice what's consistent here? I connected to a group insight and I move forward to the next part of the call. By the way, not everybody has to speak. The room has to feel the emotion. That's the thing. And here's your first action step. On your next call, don't start with problems. Start with wins. Define what a win means. After each meaningful share, summarize it in one sentence that reinforces progress. Now, quick question. How do you usually open your calls? Wins or problems? Drop the word below. I'd love to see how it splits. The second thing that must happen is reading the room. A group coaching call is a living organism. Energy shifts back and forth. Focus rises and falls. People open up and close down in real time. If you're only focused on what you plan to say, you miss what's actually happening. Let me take you to the stage for a moment. Now, back in the days of my professional career as a musician, when I was performing almost every night, there was one unwritten rule. If the dance floor clears, you don't argue with the crowd. You change the song. If the energy drops, you raise the tempo. It's the same in a group call. If you feel the energy drop, long silences, cameras turning off, someone's shifting uncomfortably, that's information. Many facilitators miss it. The common mistake is sticking to the agenda at all costs, continuing to explain even though the room is no longer with you, while not noticing the quieter participants are fading out while louder ones take over. What to do instead? First, actually look at the screen. Who hasn't spoken? Who looks hesitant? Who suddenly went quiet? Then gently invite them in. John, I'm curious. How does this land for you? What's your take on this? And let them speak. Sometimes I'll just pause and say, how's this landing? I'm sensing some quiet. What's happening, guys? And this shifts the dynamic. Also, you can change tempo when needed. If there's been a lot of sharing, move to a clear summary. If there's been a lot of teaching, open a question. If the discussion is drifting, make a decision. Don't be afraid to change the song mid-set. And remember, you are there for them, not the other way around. If someone feels left out, it's your responsibility to bring them back. And here's your action step. On your next call, plan 3 moments where you intentionally check the room. Also, identify the quieter participant and invite them in thoughtfully. Third thing that must happen is holding the mic, not physically, energetically. Many times people join group coaching because they want to be heard, but without clear leadership, the conversation spreads out and loses direction. When I led bands, we had one rule. The microphone never left the singer's hand. Even when letting someone from the audience sing a line, we always held the mic in our hand. Why? Because once you fully hand it over, it can turn into an awkward karaoke. And energy drops. People don't like that. On a Zoom call, you don't hold a literal mic, but you hold the floor. If you completely release it, you lose leadership. The common mistake is swinging to one extreme. Either the facilitator talks most of the time and suffocates the room, or they fully let go and the call turns into an unstructured conversation, no time limits, no boundaries, no distinctions between a question that serves everyone and a niche issue that drains the group. And I've seen it happen many times. And as the louder voices take more space, the quieter ones disappear, with some people leave feeling unseen. So what do? First, set a frame. I'll often say, you've got 2 minutes, give me the gist of it. That doesn't offend anyone, it creates safety. Everyone knows their boundaries. Second, identify whether the question is broad or niche. If it's something most people are dealing with, open it up. If it's highly specific, answer briefly and say, let's go deeper on that after the call so we can respect everyone's time. Third, cut gently, not mid-sentence, but at a natural pause. Summarize what you heard in one sentence and bring the focus back. Invite quieter voices. Don't assume silence means disinterest. Sometimes it just means they need an invitation. I'd love to hear your perspective on this. How does this look from your side? Are questions you can ask. Holding the mic is not controlling people, it's controlling pace. Now, your action step on your next call, set a clear time frame for shares. Cut one share gently and summarize it before moving on. You can promise to get back to them before the end of the call if time remains. Number 4 is turn sharing into action. And now let's clarify what this phase actually is. In my sessions, this is the heart of the meeting. This is where I invite people to bring a question, a dilemma, a mistake they want to learn from, something that challenged them, or something they're avoiding because they lack clarity. This is not just random sharing. This is where real problems get worked through. This is the main reason why people show up. But here's the thing, sharing alone does not create change. People can talk for an hour, feel heard, and still leave without the next step. And yes, being heard matters. It's not that you have to solve every problem. Sometimes a short normalization is enough. Like, what you're describing is very common at this stage. If you do respond, be concise, be specific, don't repeat yourself. And if it's still not landing, don't get stuck. You can say, I can see this isn't fully clear yet, and that's okay. Let's move forward to respect everyone's time, and we can go deeper after the call. With doing that, you protect the individual and the group. Sometimes I'll even open it up with the group. Who's dealt with something similar? What worked for you? That strengthens the group, builds peer learning, and creates depth. Then comes the most important part, move to action. I ask things like, what are you going to do this week? I ask things like, what are you going to do about it this week? What's the first concrete steps you're committing to? A great call doesn't create 10 directions, it creates one sharp step. Another mistake is getting stuck trying to make sure one person fully understands while the rest of the group waits. Instead, first reflect. Summarize what you heard in a sentence so they feel understood. For example, it sounds like you're putting a lot of effort, but not seeing results, and that's frustrating. That alone releases tension. Second, decide whether a long answer is even needed in this case. Now, if you've ever caught yourself over-explaining on a call, you know exactly what I mean. Type over-explained if you've done this at least once. And here's your action step. On your next call, clearly define what kind of shares you're inviting. Reflect each meaningful share in one sentence. If you respond, and with one concrete action. Fifth thing that must happen is public commitment. In my view, the most important role of a group leader is not to deliver more knowledge, but to lead accountability. This is where many facilitators drop the ball. The call was good, the energy was strong, insights were shared, and then it ended with, all right, everyone, great job, see you next week. No closure, no commitment, no anchor. What's left? Good intentions. When someone says out loud in front of others what they are going to do, something shifts. It's no longer just an idea. It becomes a commitment, and the group has power. So, how do you do it? Don't leave it vague. Don't just ask, so who's taking something away today? Create a clear structure. I'll say something like, before we close, each person share in one sentence, what are you committing to before the next call? And it needs to be something specific, like, I'm publishing the sales page by Thursday, or I'm booking 3 sales calls, or I'm recording my first video this week. Second, reinforce the commitment. Say something like, the fact that you're saying this out loud matters. Okay, third, highlight progress. At the beginning of the next call, remind them what they committed to. Notice how much has happened since last week. That builds identity, not just execution. Sometimes I'll even ask, who wants to ask them how they're planning to execute that? That deepens accountability. Without commitment, the call is an experience. With commitment, it becomes part of a process. Your last action step on your next call, don't end without a clear round of commitments. Make sure each participant states one specific action with a time frame out loud. Now the bonus. If I'm honest, this is the part that changed my calls the most. For years, I ran good sessions, strong content, real value, but something was missing, and I realized it was another thing I learned from the stage. After more than 1,000 performances, I noticed something. People don't remember every song. They remember how you opened and how you closed. The ending shapes the feeling, and the feeling determines whether they come back. Same thing in a group call. You can deliver an hour of value, but if the ending is weak, technical, or rushed, that's what stays with them. All right, guys, we're out of time. Click, done, the energy evaporates. A strong call isn't drama, it's leadership. So, how do you close well? First, don't let the ending happen by accident. Plan it. Second, name what has happened in the room. Notice where you started and where you are now. Third, reinforce identity. The fact that you showed up, shared, and committed is huge. Fourth, leave them with a sentence that lingers after the call ends. I always close up in an amplifying note. Not because it's nice, because it creates a positive emotional imprint. When the emotional imprint is strong, people look forward to the next session. You don't have to chase them anymore. And here's the important part. Everything we covered today is what to do, but there are also mistakes that can ruin a great call. Mistakes that drain energy, erodes trust, and leave people flat even if the content was good. In the next video, I'm breaking down exactly that, what not to do in a group coaching call, and how to avoid the mistakes most facilitators don't even realize they're making. If you want to lead sessions people genuinely look forward to, watch that next. And in your next call, don't let the ending happen by accident. Plan it, lead it, watch how the entire dynamic shifts. If there's something you do to close your sessions that I didn't mention, drop it in the comments so we can all learn from it. And until then, thanks for watching. This shows me how serious you really are about this. I'm Ida Litterman, and I'll see you on the next video.